2 years passed like a beautiful dream. Daiho and Taeyang traveled to 37 worlds. They met with hundreds of species. They became symbols of something the galaxy needed: hope, understanding, proof that different beings could build bridges between predator and prey, between fear and trust. They visited the crystal cities of the Harmon. Taeyang's roar was made into music by the ringing towers. They walked the ice fields of Glacier 7. The native Frostborn carved statues of the lion in blue ice that would last 1,000 years. They even returned to the Keltar homeworld. Kyung had been promoted to High Commander. She welcomed them as honored guests. Everywhere they went, the message was the same. Humanity was not just another species fighting for power in space. They were something special. They carried the violence of their death world in their blood, but they chose compassion anyway. They understood strength, but practiced kindness. And Taeyang, the lion who should have died alone in a flooded room, became the living symbol of that message. But not everyone was happy about their success. The Velen Empire never forgave the shame of Princess Mireille's actions. They saw Daiho and Taeyang as a constant reminder of their failure, a wound that would not heal. When they returned to the central station for a big diplomatic meeting, Daiho got a private message. It was from Princess Mireille herself. She wanted to meet. Daiho stood in a private conference room with Taeyang at his side. The princess entered alone without her usual guards. She was as elegant as he remembered. Her silver skin caught the light. Her 3 pupil eyes looked at the lion. "Ambassador," she said in her beautiful voice. "Thank you for seeing me." "Princess Mireille," Daiho said without emotion. "What can I do for you?" She looked at Taeyang for a long moment. "I came to apologize, and to explain, though I know no explanation will be enough." Daiho waited. "I got him on Earth. I thought it was legal, but now I know the seller lied. He was meant to be a symbol of my power, a trophy from the dangerous death world. But during the trip I realized I made a terrible mistake. He was not a decoration. He was a living being, smart and suffering." She looked away. "I could not bring him to my home world. My people would have been terrified. So I chose the coward's path. I left him to die where no one would know it was my fault. I told myself it was mercy. That drowning would be quick, but I knew the truth. I was simply too weak to face what I had done." Taeyang watched her with his golden eyes. His face showed nothing. "Why are you telling me this?" Daiho asked. "Because you deserve to know. And because I watched what you did with him. The hope you brought to the galaxy. The bridges you built. You saved him not for glory or power, but because it was right. You are what I should have been." She knelt down like a person asking forgiveness. "I cannot undo what I did, but I can admit it and try to be better. The Velen Empire will support your mission going forward. We will fund safe places for Earth animals. We will work to make sure no creature is ever abandoned like I abandoned him." Daiho looked down at Taeyang. The lion stood and walked to the princess. For a moment Daiho's heart stopped, but Taeyang just smelled her. Then he returned to his side, no forgiveness. But no revenge either, just understanding. "Thank you for your honesty, princess," Daiho said. "What you did was wrong, but what you are doing now is right. That is all anyone can ask." She stood with tears in her strange eyes. "Humanity is lucky to have you as their ambassador," she said. Then she left. Daiho never saw her again. The meeting was a huge success. Dozens of species signed the Interspecies Animal Protection Treaty. It said that no living creature could be abandoned or hurt across space borders. The Velen Empire gave the most money. They funded safe places on 20 worlds. Daiho and Taeyang were given permanent jobs as ambassadors of compassion. It was a new role created just for them. Years later, when Daiho was old and Taeyang's mane had turned silver with age, they returned to Earth, to a sanctuary built just for them. Surrounded by grasslands and forests that looked like the old Africa, they were not alone. The sanctuary had dozens of Earth animals rescued from across the galaxy. Elephants, tigers, wolves, bears, all living together under human protection. All reminders of what humanity had been and what they became. Daiho sat on a hill watching the sunset. It painted the sky golden red. Taeyang lay beside him. The lion's breathing was slow and peaceful. "We did good work, old friend," Daiho said, scratching behind Taeyang's ears. The lion purred. That sound had become famous across the galaxy. The sound of trust, of friendship, of a bond that changed everything. Children from 100 worlds came to visit them. alien and human together, learning the story of the soldier and the lion, learning that courage was not the absence of fear. It was the choice to act despite it. That kindness was not weakness but the greatest strength. Lena, the Oranai child who had been the first to touch Taiyang, grew up to be a diplomat. She visited often. She brought her own children to meet the legendary sun hunter. Kyung became the Keltar's ambassador to Earth. She was now Daeho's closest friend. They would sit together in the evenings, sharing stories and watching Taeyang play with the younger animals. Even Commander Hana, now retired, lived nearby. She still said Daeho's choice to rescue Taeyang was the best and worst decision anyone ever made on her watch. On a warm evening, as stars appeared in the darkening sky, Daeho felt Taeyang's weight settle more heavily against him. The lion's breathing slowed. His golden eyes dimmed with age. "Not yet," Daeho whispered. "We still have time." Taeyang looked up at him one last time. In those eyes, Daeho saw everything they had been through together. The flooded room, the first meeting with the Oranai, the laughter of alien children, the quiet moments between stars. The lion's tail hit the ground once, a final sign of trust and love. And then he closed his eyes and slept forever. Daeho held him through the night with tears on his face. Around them the other animals gathered, keeping watch, as if they understood that something precious was lost. They buried Taiyang on the hill where they watched so many sunsets together. Representatives from 50 worlds came to the ceremony. They built a statue in his honor, a golden lion with eyes that seemed to hold the wisdom of the universe. Under the statue they carved words in 100 languages. Taeyang the sun hunter, saved by compassion, teacher of understanding, proof that even in the darkness of space there is light. Daeho lived for many years after. He continued their work. He told their story. He never took another companion, though many offered. Taeyang could never be replaced, but the legacy they built together lived on. The sanctuaries they inspired spread across the galaxy. The treaty they helped create protected countless lives, and the story of a human soldier who risked everything to save a lion became a legend told for generations. On Earth, in the sanctuary that carried their names, children still came to visit. They stood before the golden statue and listened to the guides tell the tale. About courage and compassion. About the choice to save rather than abandon. About a bond that changed the galaxy. And sometimes, on warm evenings when the sun painted the sky gold, visitors swore they heard a sound like distant thunder, the purr of a lion at peace. Forever watching over the world he helped to change. This was the legacy of Taeyang and Daeho. Not conquest, not control, but simple, steady kindness. The kind that saw value in all life. The kind that refused to look away from suffering. The kind that made humanity not just survivors of a death world, but something far more important. Protectors, friends, hope. And in the end, that was what the galaxy needed most of all. Their first diplomatic mission was to Orin Prime. It was the home world of the Oranai people. The Oranai were peaceful. They ate only plants. They built a civilization based on harmony and balance. They lived in huge glass domes that looked like ancient forests. They had never known predators on their world, which made bringing Taeyang a big risk. The ship's computer made a sound as they entered orbit. Daeho stood on the command deck watching the green and blue planet below. Taeyang lay beside his chair with his tail moving slowly. "Ambassador Daeho," came a beautiful voice through the communication system. "This is Orin Prime Spaceport Control. We have been waiting for you, but we must tell you that we have concerns about the predator you have on your ship." Daeho expected this. "Spaceport Control, I understand your concerns. Taeyang is fully trained. He will stay under my watch at all times. He is not a threat to your people." There was silence. Then another voice, older and with more authority. "Ambassador, this is Council Elder Bora. We watched the footage of your rescue. We read the reports. We understand that humans have a special relationship with predators. But our people have never met such a creature in person. We are afraid." Daeho looked down at Taeyang. The lion yawned. His teeth could tear through steel. "Elder Bora, I will not lie to you. Taeyang is dangerous. He is an apex predator from a world the galaxy calls deadly. But he is also smart, loyal, and able to understand that not everything is prey. If you let us land, I will show you. But if you say no, we will respect your choice and leave." Another silence. "This one was longer, you may land. But there will be armed guards present. For the safety of our people, Understood, Deho said. The landing pad was surrounded by 100 Oronai. They were tall and thin with skin like tree bark and eyes like polished amber. They held energy weapons with shaking hands. Their fear was visible in the air. Deho walked down the ramp slowly. Taeyang walked beside him. His movements were smooth and calm. The crowd gasped and stepped back. Some guards raised their weapons. Deho stopped and held up a hand. Please, do not be afraid. Taeyang will not harm you. Watch. He knelt beside the lion and put both hands on Taeyang's mane. The lion turned and licked his face, a sign of love. The crowd made sounds of shock. Then Deho stood and walked forward, alone. He left Taeyang sitting on the ramp. The lion did not move. He just sat watching. His tail wrapped around his paws, waiting. Deho walked to Elder Bora, who stood at the front of the crowd. The elder was old. Her bark skin had deep lines, but her eyes were sharp and clear. Elder Bora, Deho said, bowing in the Oronai way. Thank you for letting us land. I know this is hard for your people. Bora looked past him at Taeyang. He is magnificent, terrifying but magnificent. He obeys you? Not obeys, Deho said gently. We trust each other. He chooses to stay because he knows I will keep him safe, because he knows that here he is not alone. Bora studied him. You saved him when others would have let him die. That speaks well of your character. But can you promise us he will not harm our people? Deho met her eyes. I cannot promise he will never be dangerous, Elder. He is a predator. That is his nature. But I can promise he will not hunt here. He will harm no one unless they threaten him or me. And I can promise I will take responsibility for his actions. Bora was silent for a long moment. Then she nodded. Very well, Ambassador. Your honesty is good. Perhaps you could show us this trust you speak of. There is a child here who wants to meet your companion. She saw the footage and insisted on coming today. A small Oronai child stepped forward from the crowd. She looked about 10 in human years. Her bark skin was smooth and pale. Her amber eyes were huge with wonder and fear. Hello, Deho said gently. What is your name? Lena, the child whispered. Is he really a sun hunter? Like from the old stories? Deho looked at Bora, who nodded. You have stories about creatures like him? Ancient stories. Before we built our cities, before we learned to protect ourselves, there were hunters in the darkness, creatures with teeth and claws. We survived by hiding, by running. Eventually the hunters died out and we grew strong. But we remember. Deho looked down at Lena. Would you like to meet him? Lena nodded. Her fear fought with curiosity. Deho walked back to Taeyang with Lena beside him. The lion watched them come. His ears pointed forward. His face was calm. When they reached him, Deho knelt again. Taeyang, this is Lena. She is our friend. Be gentle. The lion lowered his head to the child's level. Lena reached out with one shaking hand and touched his mane. Taeyang closed his eyes and purred. A sound like distant thunder. Lena laughed. A bright sound of pure joy. He is warm. And soft, the crowd gasped again. But this time it was not fear. It was amazement. Elder Bora walked over slowly. Taeyang watched her but did not move. When she was close, she too reached out and touched his mane. You have shown us something important today, Ambassador. That even predators can be kind. That even hunters can choose not to hunt. That fear can be overcome with understanding. She looked at the crowd. Humans saved this creature when others would have let him die, and now he repays that kindness with trust. Perhaps we have much to learn from the humans and their companions. The mission was a success. Over the next 3 days, Deho and Taeyang met with the Oronai Council. They walked through the biodomes. They showed them what humanity stood for. Not control, not violence, but compassion, understanding, and the will to protect those who could not protect themselves. When they left, the whole city came to see them off. Lena stood at the front waving with both hands. Taeyang roared once. The sound echoed across the landing pad. The Oronai cheered. As the ship lifted off, Deho looked down at the planet and smiled. This was just the beginning. There were so many more worlds to visit, so many more species to meet, so many more hearts to change. And with Taeyang by his side, he knew they could do it. They could show the galaxy that humans were not just warriors from a death world. They were teachers, protectors, friends to all life. News traveled fast across the galaxy. Within 2 weeks, every big news network from Earth to the far edges of space ran the story. Human soldier saves lion from alien princess. The headlines were exciting. The video was even better. Someone leaked the security camera footage of the rescue. It showed Daeho jumping into the flooded room. It showed him struggling with Taeyang's huge weight. He never gave up even when the water reached his neck. It showed them falling together afterward. The lion's head on his chest, both breathing hard. Humanity loved it. Here was proof of what they always believed. Humans were special. They could bond with any creature, even deadly predators from their own dangerous world. They showed compassion even when it was risky. The aliens had mixed feelings. The Velen Empire was very angry. Princess Mirai made a statement. She said the lion was too dangerous to take home. She said she made plans for it to be killed humanely. Nobody believed her. The footage showed her ship leaving while the room flooded. It showed her guards ignoring the emergency alarms. The Keltar kept their promise and supported Daeho. They sent a formal letter to the Human Federation. They said Taeyang was a protected animal under space law. They also sent gifts, food machines programmed with lion nutrition, climate controls to copy Earth's weather, even toys, big balls and ropes that Taeyang ignored with dignity. Other species were very interested. Scientists from many worlds asked permission to study Taeyang. Documentary makers wanted to film him. A Grath merchant offered Daeho 10 million credits for the lion. Daeho said no to everything, but the attention brought problems. The station was not built to keep a full-grown lion forever. Taeyang needed space to run, to hunt, to just be a lion. He was adapting well to station life, but Daeho could see the restlessness. The way his eyes would watch the screens showing open space, like he was looking for something he could not name. Commander Hana called Daeho to her office. She sat behind her desk looking very tired. A holographic screen floated next to her. It showed dozens of requests, complaints, and legal papers. "Sergeant," she said, "we need to talk about your lion." Daeho stood straight like a soldier. Taeyang sat beside him, completely relaxed. "Yes, ma'am." "The Human Federation looked at your case. They agree you did the right thing rescuing the animal. You have every legal right to keep him. But they also agree with me. This station is not a good long-term home for an Earth apex predator." Daeho felt his chest get tight. "Are you ordering me to give him up?" Hana's face softened. "No, but I am giving you a choice. The Federation approved your transfer to the Diplomatic Corps. They want you and Taeyang to be ambassadors, to travel to allied worlds, to show them what humanity can do, to make our bonds with other species stronger." Daeho stared at her. "Ambassadors? You already are one, whether you wanted to be or not. The galaxy is watching you, Daeho. They see a human who risked his life for a creature most species think is a monster. They see a bond between predator and human that should not exist but does. They see what we always knew. Humans are different." She stood and walked around her desk. "The Federation will give you a ship, a proper home for Taeyang, resources, support. All you have to do is travel, meet with allied governments. Be yourself, and let Taeyang be himself." Daeho looked down at Taeyang. The lion looked back. His golden eyes were calm and trusting. "What do you think, Taeyang? Want to see the galaxy?" The lion stood and stretched. His claws scratched the metal floor. Then he walked to the door and looked back, as if saying, "Well, are you coming?" Daeho laughed. "I guess that is a yes, ma'am." Hana smiled. "Congratulations, Ambassador Daeho. Your ship leaves in 3 days. Start packing." 3 days later, Daeho stood in the docking bay looking at his new ship. It was small by military standards, but nice by any other measure. The Keltar helped design it. It had parts from both human and alien engineering. There was a proper home for Taeyang. Open spaces, climbing structures, even a small grove of earth plants under fake sunlight. There was a command deck, living quarters, a diplomatic room for meetings, everything they needed for their new lives as ambassadors. Kyung was there to see them off. She put one clawed hand on Daeho's shoulder. "Travel safe, Sun Hunter," she said. "The galaxy needs to see what you represent." "What do we represent?" Daeho asked. Kyung's scales changed to that color that meant respect. Hope. That different species can understand each other. That strength and compassion can exist together. That the galaxy is better when we choose to save rather than abandon. Daeho nodded. Taeyang rubbed his head against Kyung's leg one last time. Then he walked up the boarding ramp. Daeho followed. Together they left the station behind. Ahead of them was the galaxy, full of wonders and dangers, but they would face it together. A human and a lion, ambassadors, friends, family. Their journey was just beginning. They would visit worlds no human had walked on before. They would meet species that had never seen an Earth predator. They would prove that kindness was not weakness, that compassion was strength, that humans deserved their place among the stars not because they were the strongest, but because they had the biggest hearts. The medical room was not made for Earth animals. The doctor was an alien named Silara. She had 4 arms and many eyes like an insect. She checked Taiyang with strange machines. The machines made beeping sounds. "Very interesting," she said. Her words came through a translator in Daeho's ear. "This creature is simple compared to most intelligent species, but it is very strong. Look at these muscles, and these teeth. They are made for tearing meat." Daeho sat next to Taeyang with one hand on the lion's thick mane. The lion had not left his side since the rescue. Every time someone tried to separate them, Taeyang would make a low, deep growl. "He is not dangerous," Daeho said. "Not to me." All 12 of Silara's eyes looked at him. "He is a top hunter from a death world," she said. "Of course he is dangerous, that is his nature, but I see what you mean. He has bonded with you. How very human of you both." Over the next week, Daeho learned more. The galaxy thought Earth was a death world. It was a planet with heavy gravity, violent storms, and dangerous predators. Most aliens were afraid of Earth. Humans had evolved there. They became hunters too. They carried that strength in their bones. But humans also learned to live with other predators, to respect them, to make friends with them. Dogs had been with humans for thousands of years. Why not lions? The station commander said Daeho could keep Taeyang for now while they figured out the legal stuff. The lion needed a proper place to live. He needed good food. He needed care. All of this cost money that the station did not have. Daeho changed his room to make space for the lion. He used his salary to buy raw meat from the station's food makers. He spent all his free time reading about lions from old Earth files. He learned that lions were social animals. They lived in groups called prides. They talked with their bodies and sounds that most species could not understand. Taeyang learned too. He learned that Daeho was safe. The station was safe. The strange aliens who walked past were not threats. He learned to walk next to Daeho without a rope. His huge paws were silent on the metal floors. He learned that when Daeho said his name, it meant love and attention. The other humans on the station were amazed. Many had never seen a lion except in videos. They would stop and stare. They kept their distance but always looked with wonder. This was a piece of Earth, a reminder of home in the cold darkness of space. The aliens were not as happy. The Velen ambassador complained. She said Daeho had stolen Princess Mireille's property. Commander Hana stopped that quickly. She said that, leaving a living creature to die, broke 3 different space treaties and several human laws. The Grath were insect-like traders. They refused to come near Taeyang at all. Their many eyes would follow the lion everywhere. Their translators kept saying warnings about predator danger. But the Keltar were different. They were reptile people with shiny green scales. One of their security officers named Kyung came to talk to Daeho in the cafeteria one day. Taeyang was lying next to Daeho's chair. His tail was moving slowly. "May I come closer?" Kyung asked in broken standard language. Daeho looked at Taeyang. The lion lifted his head and smelled the air. His ears pointed forward. He was curious but not angry. "Slowly," Daeho said. Kyung moved carefully like someone who understood hunters. She knelt down 1 meter away and held out one clawed hand with the palm down. Taeyang stood up, stretched, and walked to her. He smelled her hand. Then he rubbed his head against it. He was marking her with his scent. Kyung's scales changed color in a way that meant happiness. "He is beautiful," she said. "My people have stories of great beasts like this. We call them sun hunters. They lived on our world before we made tools. We still respect them." "We have stories too," Daeho said. "Lions were kings in our old tales. They meant strength and courage." Kyung nodded. "That is why I came to talk. The Keltar Council heard about your situation. They want to help. We have places on our home world that could house your friend. Good space, good care. You would be welcome there." Daeho felt something cold in his chest. Give Taeyang away? Send him to live with strangers on an alien world? Thank you, he said carefully, but I think we will stay together. Kyung's scales changed to a color Daeho did not know. Maybe respect. Maybe understanding. Then the Keltar will support you, she said. If you need help, just ask. That night, Daeho lay in his bed with Taeyang on the floor next to him. The lion's breathing was slow and steady, the sound of deep peace. Daeho reached down and ran his fingers through the thick mane. You and me, Taeyang, he whispered. Whatever happens next, we face it together. The lion's tail hit the floor once. It was agreement. Trust. Bond. In the darkness of space, on a station full of aliens, a human and a lion had found each other. And neither would let go. They did not know it yet, but their bond would change the galaxy. They would show other species something new. That strength and kindness could live together. That even the fiercest predators could choose love over violence. That humans were not just survivors from a dangerous world. They were something more. They were friends to all creatures. We. The space station was huge. It floated in the darkness like a metal flower. Daeho stood near a big window and watched the alien ships come and go. He was a soldier from Earth. He had been working here for 3 years. His job was to protect important visitors. Today was special. Princess Mireille was leaving. She was from a planet called Velen. The Velen people were tall with silver skin and beautiful voices. Mireille had been here for 1 month talking about trade. Now she was going home. Daeho had been assigned to keep her safe during her visit. She was always polite but distant. Today she seemed in a hurry. She moved quickly through the halls with her guards. Her long silver dress trailed behind her like water. As her ship got ready to leave, Daeho noticed something wrong. One of the cargo rooms near the dock was flooding. Red warning lights were flashing. The computer was making loud alarm sounds, but nobody was paying attention because everyone was busy watching the princess leave. Daeho ran to the cargo room. The rules said he should just seal it and let the machines fix it, but something made him look inside first. He looked through the small window in the door. What he saw made his heart stop. There was a huge animal in the water. It had golden fur and was fighting to stay alive. The water was rising fast. The animal was roaring, but the sound was quiet because water was filling its mouth and nose. It was a lion. A real lion from Earth. Daeho could not believe his eyes. Lions were almost gone from Earth. They only lived in special safe places now. Only very rich people could own them. What was a lion doing here? And why was it drowning while Princess Mireille was leaving? He hit the emergency button hard. The door opened with a hiss. Water rushed out and soaked his boots. The lion was still alive, but barely. Its golden eyes looked at him. In those eyes, Daeho saw something he did not expect. The lion looked smart. It looked like it was asking for help. It looked like it trusted him. He walked into the water. It was already up to his chest. The lion was too big and heavy to lift alone. But humans had one special thing. They never gave up. They were the people who climbed out of caves and built spaceships. They were the people who kept trying no matter what. Daeho grabbed the lion under its front legs and pulled. His muscles hurt. His lungs burned. But he kept pulling. The lion tried to help. Its big paws pushed against the wet floor. Together they dragged each other out of the flooding room just as the door sealed shut again. They both fell on the floor, breathing hard. The lion was coughing up water. Daeho rolled onto his back and laughed. It was a wild, tired laugh. He had just saved a lion. A real lion. The lion lifted its head slowly and looked at him. Then it crawled closer and put its huge head on Daeho's chest. A deep rumbling sound came from its body. It was purring like a giant cat. Security guards arrived a few minutes later with weapons ready. They were shouting, but they stopped when they saw what was happening. A human soldier, wet and exhausted with a lion using him as a pillow. Commander Hana pushed through the crowd. She was small but tough. Her eyes went wide when she saw the lion. "What is this?" she asked in a sharp voice. "A lion, ma'am," Daeho said. "From Earth. It was in the cargo room that flooded. Someone left it there to die." Hana's face became hard. She looked at the Velen ship on the screen. "The princess?" she asked. Her cargo list says she brought an exotic animal, one of the guards said, checking his computer pad. One Earth predator. She told us about it when she arrived. But she left it behind. Anger flashed in Hana's eyes, but she controlled it. Dealing with other planets was complicated. The Velen Empire was powerful. Humans were still new in space compared to other species. Get a doctor here, she ordered, and find out what the law says about abandoned animals from Earth. She looked down at Deho and the lion. Sergeant, you just made my life very difficult. Deho smiled up at her. Sorry, ma'am, but I think he likes me. The lion purred louder. Despite everything, Hana smiled too. What are you going to call him? She asked. Deho looked into the lion's golden eyes. Taeyang, he said. It means sun. The name felt right. The lion's fur was golden like the sun. His eyes were bright and warm, and he had been saved from the darkness. From that moment on, Deho and Taeyang were not just a human and an animal. They were friends. They were family, and their story was just beginning.